secretly, I think we all just want a relationship that'll be easy and meets our needs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Sounds good.
I'll admit that. But what I've discovered is that until I come to terms with some of those buttons, for me it was the fear of rejection,
Mm-hmm.
and it would be a man who I wanted to have sex with him and he didn't want to have sex with me. I mean, that does happen to women,
Mm-hmm.
even attractive
Oh
women.
yeah, no, definitely.
I had to go inside and really feel that pain and see how closely that was connected to my mother not touching me enough. And so it's really an inner child kind of healing and nurturing process. You have to go that deep in order to get over your buttons. Mm-hmm. And the getting real work that I teach, the 10 truth skills, it sounds like it's just about communication, but it's really about noticing when you're not present, when you've had one of these buttons pushed, or when you're in an automatic pattern where you think that button's going to be pushed, so you're doing everything possible to not let it get pushed. No, when you're on automatic or you're going around kind of defended, that's a clue that you're not real. And so I call it the getting real work. That's the work that I do. It's the body of work that I do, and that's about coming back to being present. But first you have to see how not present you are, and dig back down in there and really nurture that little child from the past that's messing with your relationships in the present.
Oh, that kid drives me nuts.
Yeah, they kind of, the past messes with the present unless you deal with the past.
So we just had Valentine's Day, and I saw all these cute couples out there with the flowers. The guys look so awkward with the flowers and the chocolate and the holding hands. And on a date, people can tend to really forget who they are in the first couple dates. How can you remain present, and what gift is that giving yourself when you do remain present on a first date, so that you can really tell if this is going to go anywhere and save yourself months or years or.
Yeah, well, first I coined a phrase, presence is the new sexy.
I like that.
And that's because of what I hear out there. I ask people, what attracts you in a man, what attracts you in a woman, what attracts you in a man, and people wind up saying something that amounts to somebody who can really be in their own skin, be aware enough to say what's going on for them, rather than just some line, some trying to please. But we all do want to please. So how do you, first of all, that's the value. It's more attractive to be present. But what you have to do too to kind of cultivate presence is first to see all the ways that you get taken out of presence, like by strategizing. You're on this first date and you're strategizing, how can I get this person to like me, or how can I make sure I get a second date? And when you're strategizing like that and you catch yourself, one of the ways to bring yourself present and bring a lot of humor and lightness into the situation is to admit what's going on in your mind. Say, I think that I'd like to let you know what's going on in me right now. You want to hear it? And you just say, I've been enjoying this date so much, and I can't just keep my focus on enjoying you because I'm worried that there won't be a second date. That's what's going on in my mind.
Wow, but do you really say that? That? And wouldn't that make the guy freak out?
Not necessarily.
No, okay.
If that guy's going to freak out, do you want that kind of a person?
That's a good point.
I'm not saying, I'm not saying you're asking him, is there going to be a second date? You're saying, I've got this coming up, and I think if I just admit this, shine some light on it, and get past it, I'll be able to be more relaxed and present. And if you want that type of person who is easy with emotions,
and communication, right off the bat,
it's sort of like a test. I don't mean that you should test people. I don't believe
like
in
it past the salad, maybe past the
entree. I don't believe in that. But if you do, just be yourself. You actually are usually more lovable.
I agree with that. Yes,
you might say, I'm distracted by how beautiful you are right now. You could say that. Something that's pleasant.
They like that.
They like that. That was an easy one. But something that's here and now, and you cultivate that by noticing the mind chatter or the self-talk. And of course, once you've noticed it a lot, you get so that you can bring yourself present without confessing it. Mm-hmm. So that little awkward self-disclosure that I made, I think you should choose somebody who would enjoy those awkward self-disclosures. I mean, being polished is not what makes you the most lovable.
That's true.
Get over that.
Yeah.
It's that you have heart, and that you actually care. You know, she cares about me enough to, bumble a little bit and be a little nervous. So
it's refreshing.
Usually. Now, if somebody wants somebody, who's just model perfect, well, then they'll be playing a different game than the Getting Real game.
That's true. That's it. Speaking of which, you do have games. And
I do have these games.
That was a nice segue right there, because my next question would definitely be, what kind of questions would be good on first dates, second dates, that will see if you are compatible, so you can save time and dates and, all the things down the line, so you can really get real and see how this person is.
Yeah, so I've created these 2 card games, and basically they're self-disclosure kind of card games where you pick you pick a card, and you read the card, and you answer the card that you've picked, or you can both answer the same card.
Okay.
There's a lot of different ways to play this game.
And would this be like appropriate over dinner at the first date?
I've done it. I've
Really?
taken both of these games, the Truth and Dating game and the Getting Real game, on first dates, and we just put the cards on the table and pick one when we feel like it. So here's one. What type of success do you wish for? Tell me something you are currently working to change about yourself. Tell me about one of your most embarrassing moments.
Okay, the embarrassing moments. That would be interesting, because then you can see how open they are, and how they're not so stuck in themselves, or themselves, or taking themselves too seriously.
Yeah. You get a chance to be lighthearted, because usually everybody's got some kind of an embarrassing moment, but you get to laugh at yourself together. And that's a good way to break the ice.
And that one is for the Getting Personal.
Yeah, this is the Get Personal deck. There's 5 different decks.
Okay, and
that's in the Getting Real game.
And that is in the Getting Real.
Yeah, and that's good for dating or families or friends or anything.
Okay.
I know men's groups use that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've gotten emails from men who say, we use your game and we got so deep and personal with each other.
Men did?
Yeah, men.
Really?
Men.
Instead of passing the talking stick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, so I'm giving you so there's 5 decks in the Getting Real card game.
Okay.
And then there's just 3 decks in the Truth and Dating game. And, so
and that is the Truth and Dating. I'm going to show you
so there's
the
a Get
cover
Acquainted deck.
Okay.
There's a sex deck, so you can get to talk about
sex deck.
right away. Like how would you initiate a conversation about safe sex?
There's one, what forms of sexual pleasuring do you desire most?
Yeah.
Whew, it's getting hot in here.
Yeah, I mean, you might not do that, the first date at dinner.
I'll have the Caesar salad. What forms of
but the way you do this at a first date is you look through the cards and you pick out 2 or 3. Each person picks out 2 or 3 that they'd like both people to answer. So that gives you a read on where these 2 people want to start play.
So the guy might be picking all the sexual cards.
The guy might be, and then the woman might be picking the ones about, who are your heroes?
Right.
What do you want to do with the rest of your life? The goal-oriented cards. But of course, that's a stereotype. But
it could happen. It probably does.
Then, you can comment on that.
Well, here's a question, because I had a show on dating a couple of weeks ago, and the guys were saying that the thing they don't like is being quizzed right on the first date. So do you want to have kids? So do you, what kind of job, kind of thing. So this would be a playful way of getting it, so you're not quizzing too much. It's not like an ask the whole deck of cards over dinner.
Yeah, I agree that too many people, especially if they have buttons about rejection and abandonment, especially abandonment, they're trying to predict the future. They're trying to get way too much information, more than you can get, because some of the information just unfolds over time. So watch out for that. If you're one of these people that has a kind of I call them control patterns, a pattern of trying to know things that can't possibly be known, well, then underneath that control pattern, there's some kind of a button. There's some kind of tender place in you about not knowing where you stand.